This is All Things A's with Garrett, and I'm Garrett. We're in Wilmington, North Carolina we're doing the Scream 2022, which is Scream 5 filming locations. We're gonna do all the filming locations. I have all the filming locations for the movie, and we're gonna start right here. The house right behind me is Tara Carpenter's house. It's where she gets attacked at the very beginning of the movie. Tara's played by Jenna Ortega, and she's a superstar now after doing Wednesday on Netflix. Her star powers has taken off. Let's go look at all the locations, starting with this one right here. And here it is at night. This is where we get the shot, the opening sequence. This is where Tara gets the call.
Hello?
What's your favorite scary movie?
Put in the comment below. Love to know. Love to hear what your favorite scary movie is. And what's your favorite character here in Scream 5? I'd love to hear it. This is a really beautiful house. This is really cool because it doesn't look that big. Like, it's not very wide, but to the sides, it's really a it's a deep house. Just want to show you there how it does go. It's probably wide. It's wider on the side than it is from the front. But they did film inside. This was definitely where they filmed these scenes. This is where all this stuff happened. All the filming for this happened right here. So what we see in the movie was filmed right here at this location. So when Tara opens the door, she gets slashed. It's right there inside that doorway. And then, of course, when she's shutting the door and using her phone to lock it, automatic locks, all that's right here inside this house. And this is the first time that in the Scream franchise that this first attack that the person doesn't die. And that's really cool that she didn't, because obviously she's blown up as a star, and I'm glad that she's going to be in the next in Scream 6. That is awesome. And let me make a reference while we're here to this house, and these trees kind of remind me a little bit of Casey's house from the very first movie with Drew Barrymore. And to make the connection back here to Wilmington, Drew Barrymore, her first feature, she was an ET, but her first feature that she was kind of more was Firestarter. Firestarter was the very first movie filmed here in Wilmington. That's what brought the movie studio being built here, so we can thank Drew Barrymore, Firestarter. And then she was in the very next movie filmed in Wilmington was Cat's Eye. Both of those Stephen King movies, horror movies. This is obviously in a horror movie in the genre, but there's a connection back to the Scream franchise, back to Drew Barrymore, back to Wilmington, that she was in this franchise, started things out. And here we are now, 26 years later, right here in Wilmington, North Carolina, and now about ready to go to New York. And the Scream 6 is being filmed in Canada, but set in New York. So here I am at Cardinal Lanes. This is where Sam and Reggie work. This is supposed to be Modesto, California, but we are in Wilmington, North Carolina. So it would been on kind of crane, it would been up a lot higher, but you would have seen like this, and then it would have came down over to here. We pick it up right here. This is where Sam is outside, probably on break, and then we see Reggie, Jack Quaid come out of those doors right there, and he comes over, and you get a glimpse of from back here as well. I was sitting about where she was sitting in the movie. Jack comes out. So let's talk about Jack Quaid for a second. Jack Quaid's parents are Dennis Quaid and Meg Ryan. But his uncle is Randy Quaid. Randy Quaid is cousin Eddie in the Vacation movies. Christmas Vacation, more probably famous than of all of them. But I think he favors more his uncle than he does his dad, which his dad's a cool guy, and he's, like I said, he's got famous acting legacy in his genes. But I mean, in Randy Quaid, even though he gets a bad rap, the guy's a really good actor. That's not his personality as cousin Eddie. But that's just funny. I just think that's just great. And you can see a lot of humor in Jack Quaid's performance, especially in this movie. He's in The Boys. That's another great series. He's a star in the making, but he just reminds me of a lot of his uncle more than his dad. But his dad's been in so many different things as well over the years. But here we are, and this is where they kiss, and then she gets the phone call, like right here. She gets the phone call, she stands up, and it's Wes, and that's a nice little, again, a nice nod to Wes Craven. And she tells, and then she finds out that Tara's been stabbed, and she says, Wes says that she says that stabbed, and then she tells Reggie that she's gonna go, that she needs to go to Woodsboro and see Tara. And now we're gonna go to Woodsboro, which is only a few miles from here. So after Sam gets the call that Tara's been stabbed and she's in the hospital, goes to Woodsboro High School. This is Williston Middle School here in Wilmington. They don't show this, they don't show the building, but this is a great looking old school right here. But let's go over and take a look right over to this tree, and this is where we meet Tara's friend group. And then we get the view of this beautiful tree. There would have been a flagpole about right here somewhere, and they would have had a crane, and it would have been up a little higher. You see the flags waving in the wind, and it would come down, and that's where we would meet. As we get to meet Wes, which is Sheriff Hicks' son. We'll see him later. We get to meet Amber. We finally get to see who she is, and Mikey Madison, who was great in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. And there's a sequence at the end that just, from that movie that they share with this movie, it's pretty funny. We get to meet the twins. We'll see all these kids later in the movie. But it sets up the new cast, and it sets up also Vince, who we find out later is Stu's nephew. He's over this direction. Get him from over this way right here. We'll see him later as well. But this is a beautiful tree, but this is right under this tree, they had the picnic tables right here. They had buses lined up right here in front of the school. Sheriff Hicks is over there. We get to see Sheriff Hicks again. And this takes the place of the water fountain in the original movie, but this is a beautiful tree, and this is majestic. It is very majestic looking, and I don't think this even captures how cool it is. All right, after Sam gets the call at the bowling alley, they're on their way. They're driving to Woodsboro from Modesto, and this is the shot we get right here. Okay, so how I knew this East Lake Shore Drive, that shot, it goes and you could see this rail right here. This is the only, on the right hand side, this is the only part where there's a rail like this. And so this is what give it away. And this is Greenfield Lake. This is also used several movies, but probably the most famous one is probably Silver Bullet, and more going back up that direction is in the lake is where the bridge scene was, where Marty encounters the werewolf. So Silver Bullet, 1985, filmed right here in the same vicinity as where going into Woodsboro would be. And now we're gonna go look at the Woodsboro sign.
Stabbed. Not even the one that came out last year?
I mean, I've never seen Gone with the Wind either, but I don't consider it like a huge hole in my cinematic education.
After Sam and Richie leave the bowling alley, which is only 3 miles away from this very spot right here, they're coming down this road right here, and they come, it says the Woodsboro City Limit sign, and it's basically about right where I'm standing. It was right here. You can see this tree behind me. You can see kind of the curve of the road. So all this is right here. So here we would have seen the entrance at the beginning of when Richie and Sam are coming into Woodsboro. They would have passed this, and this sign would have said Elm Street, and you would have got this view right here looking down the street. Okay, we're in front of Reggie's Beer, Bands, and Booze. This is where they filmed. The kids are hanging out, playing pool, and they encounter Vince in here. But there's also a deleted scene. This is where Dewey was actually, his first part of the movie was supposed to be right here, but that scene was deleted out. But he has an altercation with Vince, and then that's how, and then later they'll show Dewey gets brought into the sheriff's department for questioning about Vince's death. But this is right here. It's kind of, I think that was in the background. He saw that. It was over there playing pool right here. This would have been right here inside. And there was like a scene between Dewey, a deleted scene between Dewey and Vince, and then also with the twin and Vince as well, right here.
Hey, get out of here, I'm calling the cops.
Go. I'll see you soon, sweetheart.
All right, I can't get this ghost-faced silhouette on this side because of this light right here. But I can get the silhouette a little bit over here, and there's a cop just passed by, so I probably need to leave here soon. Get hot. Yeah, there you go. Yep. Awesome. We're trying. It's hard. If you were trying to get the shot, you gotta bring your own spotlight, because that's what we're seeing here. All right, cool deal. So this is the ILL building in Wilmington, the back of the sheriff's department in the movie. I was out here last night, and then I was gonna get this shot, the night shots with Vince up against the wall, which just happens right there. They had dressed this up, had some graffiti on the back of the building here, but it was a crazy night last night because there's like 4 police officers went driving by and were like all around here. No one came in here and bugged me and said anything, but I really felt like I needed to get out of here. And unfortunately, I was not able to get the night shots of Vince, which I could have got those, but oh well, it's okay. But it was cool with being out here, and I actually got to see Ghostface. That was pretty cool, and I survived, and I'm here to tell about it. But I want to show you something. We are in Woodsboro. Right over there is the Rusty Nail. That's from Halloween Kills.
Evil dies tonight!
They chased who they thought was Michael Myers on the other side of this building. Again, Haddonfield. So Woodsboro, Haddonfield. We keep going not even a mile on the other side of this building, going that direction. We end up at Greenfield Lake, which is where they fill silver bullets. There's a werewolf scene on the bridge. And right next to that neighborhood, right next to that is the exterior, the neighborhood of the Black Phone. So we have the Black Phone neighborhood, the Black Phone, Silver Bullet, Haddonfield, Woodsboro, all right here within a mile of each other. And so I'm gonna get the shots here of, we'd had Vince right about here, and then the light comes on at the car, and the vehicle would have been facing toward me. The lights were on him. He goes out there and he goes, "Hey, pretty boy, is that you?" And we know they played the song, had played the Ghostface song, and Vince meets his demise. And then after Vince meets his demise, Dewey, there was a deleted scene. Dewey was brought in to the sheriff's department, which is on the other side of this building, is the sheriff's department of Woodsboro. Even though we never see the exterior of this building in the front, even though it's supposed to be the sheriff's department for Woodsboro, he's brought in and questioned about Vince's murder, which would have been a great scene if they would have left that in. It really was a great. I like the scene. I like the scene at the bar with Dewey. The scene here was good. I think the interaction between him and Sheriff Hicks was really good, and I think that needs to be brought up. And I should have mentioned that earlier. They were together in Never Been Kissed. She was one of the popular girls in the movie, so I think that's a cool connection. And that movie also had Drew Barrymore, which has a connection to the original Scream, which I mentioned at the opening.
Kristen Gibby. What's up, girlfriend?
Oh,
I'm okay.
that's gonna leave a mark.
That's cool that David Arquette and her had worked together previously, years before.
Just water and X-Lax till prom. I know. It's all about hydration.
Did you guys know that Josie's dad invented that stuff? X-Lax? She's like the heirs to the X-Lax fortune.
Shut up.
No, it's true. She spends all of her extra time with her family on a yacht in the south of France.
And here they are again in Scream 5, Scream 2022, I like to call it. But this is really, just like I said, this is just a neat location, especially being Haddonfield next door and Woodsboro right here. And there's a lot of Halloween references in this movie, and I think that's really cool, especially the fact it's a couple months prior to this movie coming out. So it came out at the end of 2021, and then we had this movie in January of 2022. Okay, I'm behind the movie studio, Screen Gems, right here in Wilmington. This is, I wanted to find Dewey's where the trailer was, but I was told that the trailer park was not really a trailer park. They just filmed it behind stage 10 on the studio and behind the property. That used to be like a back lot over where stage 10 is, and that building that you're seeing right there, that is stage 10. And that is where the house was built in the movie for the final scene. So that was not filmed in California. That was filmed here, all in the studio. But for Dewey's trailer, they brought out. It said it was behind the studio in this wooded area over here, and this is a pretty good shot of at least kind of getting the general idea about where it is, or maybe I should say where it was. So right somewhere other side of that fence, stage 10. That's it. That's Dewey's trailer park scene. But this would have been where we first saw Dewey in the movie, in the theater version. This is pretty cool to be right here. At least we get to see something behind it, and you kind of know at least the location is right. That's where it was filmed. Other side of that fence right there. This is the angle where we see Neve Campbell for the first time in Scream 5. She was running down this boardwalk right here. This is right next to the convention center, and this is the angle that we have her stop at. This is where they show from the side angle here, shows her foot. It's just where she stops after getting the phone call. This is the board. The board, it's been a couple years now since the movie was filmed, and it's only been out for a year, but this is the spot, and you can this board, it doesn't look quite as new as it did, but it's still there, and you can see the knot on the wood right there, and then the board that's right there. So this is the spot that she was standing at right here. This is where she gets the call from Dewey, and then she's on the phone, she's talking to him. What's happening? And she's just talking about, like, of course I have a gun, I'm Sidney Prescott.
Of course I have a gun.
And it's just, you can see the bridge in the background, just a nice little scene. And this is what's neat, even though it's not the next sequence where we're going to, but just to show you, Neve didn't have to go far to film her scenes, because she's, wherever she lives, this is where she gets the phone call. She's out running with the stroller. But then we see her later in the movie. She shows up in Woodsboro, and let me show you exactly. It is right here. This is the hospital, the Woodsboro Regional, I think, hospital, what they call it, right here. I'll flip it. This is the front of the hospital. But this is where we see Dewey's body come out. This is where she talks with her and Courtney Cox and Gail hug each other. This is where her and Sam had the conversation in the movie right before they take off. It's all right here. And so here we are. This is exteriors for the hospital, and we're right here. We're right over here to where she was talking on the phone. All right, this would have been the twins' house. This is Randy's sister's home, and this is where we would have got Sam and Reggie going in, and then they look back this direction. can see this house here in the background. And this is where we would have seen Dewey would have parked and would have been walking up to go inside. But this is a really cool scene in here in this house. This is where they have the Randy Theater. They have, this is a great, the twins, this was where they explained the whole requel and why you can't just do a sequel, you can't just do a reboot. It's a requel. This is a fun scene in the movie. And a great line by Dewey when he's talking to Dylan, playing the West character, and he says, man, that hurts because you must be the killer because that cuts. That was just a great line.
Well, maybe you're the killer. Because that cut deep.
But this is where Sam gets upset, and she comes out and she gets in her Prius and takes off this direction, but we're gonna go and see exactly where she ends up, and it's not down that direction. And we get to see Skeet Ulrich.
The nerve of that girl, right?
I'm really not in the mood right now.
Sam.
There is a killer on the loose. He's threatening you, he's threatening your sister. Are you gonna run away from who you are like you always do, or are you gonna use it?
Sam leaves the twins' house and she goes, she's distraught, she leaves, she's mad and upset. But look at this, Cardinal Lanes is right there. That's the Cardinal Lanes where they filmed the Modesto's bowling scenes. And then let me drive with you. So she leaves mad, she's upset because they kind of like accuse her of she could be the killer. She divulges that Billy Loomis, Skeet Ulrich is her dad, that he's really her father. This is perfect, but this is a perfect spot for me to be. She's coming from this direction right here. You see this house here in the background. This house was a different house. But you see this house in the background when she's driving. And you see this house right here, but that house is a different house. The house that was here, you see the house that was here, they tore it down and they built this house. And I'll show you a screenshot on Google Map of what it looked like. But you see it in the background. He's in the back having a conversation with her. And he'd been like right behind her, and she's looking in the mirror and he's talking to her. This is a vision, obviously, of what of her dad, of what she thinks he looks like, whatever. And the cool thing about this is the only time that we have Skeet Ulrich on location in Wilmington here. Like, that's not at the studio. This is he's actually in the vehicle with her, and they're driving down this road. So, but Skeet, this is a cool fact. Skeet Ulrich, his first role, his uncredited cameo, his first movie he ever did was Weekend at Bernie's, which is filmed here in Wilmington. It was filmed out in Southport, and he was an extra in that film. And he was a student here in Wilmington at UNCW. That's where I went as well. He was there a few years before I got there, and then he left to go pursue acting elsewhere. But so when this movie came out, his first movie was in Wilmington, and his most recent movie was in Wilmington. Well, this is the intersection they come to, and this is where her car, you can see the stop.
No!
But I noticed how I figured this out. And look, this is an always stop, so it's kind of funny. This is one of the things I noticed in the movie is that she comes here and she has to like hit the brake real hard. Some car honks at her, is flying by this direction. But this is the angle. This is what you see from the front. And this is what you see from here. And I see these mailboxes. This golf cart's gonna come up on me, but the mailboxes is what I noticed. This is just a really cool scene that we actually have Skeet, Billy Loomis, and Sam together, and then we go over to Sheriff Hicks' house.
An extra edamame, please. Thank you. I'll be there in 10 minutes.
So we're in front of Sheriff Judy's house. This is 1801 Chestnut Street right here. This is where Judy's inside. They actually filmed inside of this house. Judy is ordering sushi, and she has a conversation with Wes. And this little extension, this little like a sunroom to the side of the house, they actually filmed right there. And she comes out, she leaves. Wes is inside, and she heads over to go get sushi. And I'll take you over there in a second, and I'll show you those scenes over there. But while Wes, when she goes, so after Sheriff Judy leaves, she's going to get sushi. Wes takes a shower. Well, I'm pretty confident that the last window on the top. I think that's the bathroom, the shower scene there, because in the mirror you could see one of these windows up here at the top. So it's a reflection in the background. I'll put it into the video for you and show you, but it's the very top. You can see the top, one of the top windows in the top. So that's where it was actually filmed in the house. All the shots, this whole scene was filmed right here at this on location, not in the studio, right here. So then it flashes back over to Sheriff Judy going down 6th Street, goes by the old Towson School. I'll go show you there. Sheriff Judy passes by this intersection right here, and there's some reporters right here on the side, and she's flying by. And when I watched this movie for the first time, I recognized this because this is called the old Towson School here in Wilmington, and this was used in Hiding Out. And my very first YouTube video filming location was on Hiding Out. My second location I ever did a video for was at the school right here. This got John Cryer, he's Ducky, and Pretty in Pink. But he started this movie with Keith Coogan and Annabeth Gish. So this movie is in. So this right here. So I recognized this immediately down this direction, and then he talks about her baby boy is going to get killed, and she turns around really quick and comes back. And comes back this way here. I think we see this house. One of these houses right here. Maybe it's that. So Sheriff Hicks glances over, and then she answers the phone call. And he's asking her what her favorite scary movie is. Having a conversation coming down this way right here. She talks about her favorite. I prefer musicals and animated films.
I prefer animated films and musicals.
And then she tells him that he tells her that she's going to kill Wes, and this is where she does the U-turn right here. Sheriff Judy's rushing right back here. She pulls up right, she comes from this angle here, pulls up right here, runs straight in. You started seeing the movie, and you haven't, then this is what happens. Ghostface meets her right there at the front of the door. He stabs her right here. She dies right here at the steps, right here on location. Then they go inside, and then Wes dies right behind that very door right there. Then after the killings happen, Sam shows up. So Sam shows up, she pulls up there. There's a deleted scene where her and Mindy, and Mindy's right here, and they have a conversation, and I wish they would have left that scene in, because it kind of maybe alludes to the fact that maybe Mindy was the killer, and that would have been a nice little touch. But they took that out. Sam meets Courtney Cox for the very first time right here. Courtney Cox comes walking up, and they meet, and this is really cool because this is Courtney Cox's first time in Wilmington on screen right here. And then she sees Dewey, and then they have a conversation right over here on these steps, and they're having a conversation, and that's really cool because Courtney Cox and David Arquette were married for a while, and so that's just a neat reunion. You can almost feel that that's almost truly personal and It wasn't just a script. That's kind of cool. And in the background of Dewey, you can see that sign, the stop sign. You can see the stop sign ahead sign in the background. That like angle was shoot from that direction there. And then Sam thinks that her sister's in trouble, and her and Dewey take off, and she's parked over here, and they take off and go to the hospital. The exterior scenes are over at the convention center. The interior, I think the interior shots were filmed at the studio. But one last thing on this. This was David Arquette's last day of shooting, and there's like an Instagram post that he's standing out right here in the middle of the road, and I guess the cast and crew are applauding him and recognizing that, and you see a little bit at the corner of the window right there of that sun porch is where you see it in the background. So like his last day of filming in Scream 2022 was right here on the street. And before they leave, you see Courtney Cox is actually giving an interview on that sidewalk right over there, and that's kind of cool too that she was over there when they leave.
What are you waiting for? Drive! Come on, let's go!
The door's locked.
Yeah, we should check the door.
Joey and Pacey, check the front door. Jen, you and Cliff,
So we're back at the convention center. This is the last scene that we have a physical location of. That's a location here at Wilmington. Before we go to Stu's house, which that was recreated back at the studio. So that was all built. That was a recreation of the house, and it was done in the studio. So this is the last physical location in Wilmington that we have. And this is where Sydney and Sam have a conversation, and she's telling her, she didn't want to be involved in it. And that's when Gail comes out, and she's like, "Hey, new girl." She said, "Hey, show some respect. She's the OG." And what I was telling you earlier, this is funny because right over there is the Riverwalk, the boardwalk where Sydney Neve is running at the beginning. So she didn't have to go very far at all to do her scenes. She was there, and then she was here, inside here. They did the scene sitting at the couch they had set up inside here, and then her other stuff's done at the studios. Tell you about how I knew this was exactly, because I want you to see there's other posts, there's all these look alike, and they got the no smoking sign, the tobacco-free property, and they all kind of look alike. So you're kind of like, okay, how do you know which one, like which door was which, or which post was which? And if you look, I could tell by this sign with this brick right here, that, and then this one had the sign, and there's two dark and a dark there, and that's how I figured out that this was, because they said have different brick patterns. And then inside, the light's not on, so I can't, but there's a set of doors right there that you can see in the back shot as well, if this was lit up like it was. So this is the exterior. This is Woodsboro Regional Hospital. Just to show you what's next door, this is part of the convention center is the Embassy Suites. That's right here with this. This is the last physical location for the movie. All the rest of the scenes happen over at the Stu's house. All that happens over at the studio. That was recreated over there. That was rebuilt. I want to thank you guys for watching. I'm excited about Scream 6. Actually, I was at first when I heard they're going to be filming, it's going to be like in New York, and I didn't really know about that, but I've seen the trailers. It looks awesome, and I'm real excited about it. I'm excited about Kirby being back in this one, and real excited about this. So if you like the video, please hit like, hit subscribe, and I'll catch you on the next episode of All Things A's with Garrett.